So, public comments for non-agenda items. I think we have one from Duncan. So he left, he said, there was a catalog that came in on welcome to our playground. And it's got a lot of information and I'm not.
Which company is it?
Yeah, well,
Land Shapes.
Is it?
It's one of the companies that we did.
Okay.
Okay.
Somehow we got a copy. So I'm not quite sure. I just wanted to share that and probably I would think that if someone wanted to look at it, they certainly can. But I believe I did I send to everyone I'm trying to remember, Mark, did I send to you the proposals? I can't remember. Did you get proposals from the three companies?
The playground.
Maybe I forgot to do that. I guess that
I didn't. I know Jeannie had sent something out last month.
Okay.
Yeah, Jean sent
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
To all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the playground, but
That'll come
when we
get to that section.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the only thing that Duncan wanted to make sure we knew about, and then there'll be some. I think that's it. I think that the only other thing is people that are coming to the end of the terms got a notice about what's it called? Reapplication or application? Reapplying for
if they
terms.
wish to, yeah.
So I got one because my term ends, and I never remember if it ends in May or June.
I'm never clear on that either. I think that if you're like new to a committee, you start in June. So I think it's May would be the last meeting.
Yeah.
How it really works is after the select board is reelected
Yeah.
at town meeting, once they are appointed, that's when they start to go through all the committee memberships and
Okay.
so they reassess that. So it could be sooner, it could be often later. I know they got a lot on their plates. So as long as you just acknowledge that you are reapplying for what you're doing, if the select board doesn't know you by now,
Yeah.
at least you can speak to that too. But it's great too because I did it this year. I had to renew for either rec or planning, and it's online. It's pretty straightforward. It's really easy. You can just fill in. You can add some verbiage or just identify yourself. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that all rec committee positions are going to be fairly easily reapproved because what are they going to do? We're at least two people down. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll get some new applications. That would be fantastic. But
well, I think that we'll definitely be talking about recruitment when we get into the conversation about answering the questions about helping to organize new structures and things like that. So it'll be, I think, an ongoing conversation between now and the end of the year. Okay, so those were the two things you would have gotten a notice if you were coming to the end of your term about reapplying. And then just this little booklet that we got. So yeah, and I guess it's one of the three companies that submitted bids. So what should I do with this? Is anyone interested in looking at it? I mean, we have the proposals.
Right. I mean, I feel like the proposals.
So.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, you go ahead. All right. Lisa, yeah.
One other,
okay.
This would be more like a public comment. I was reading the Times Inc. today.
Yeah.
Did you see that the Huntington Select Board was talking about extra money that they had in their recreation budget that was not spent?
No,
I thought you might.
I had. Now, was that the February issue?
It just came out. Well,
yeah,
we just got it. We just got back yesterday, so it's
in
our mail.
I read this.
Check that out.
I read the article about the Snowshoe promotion is what I read, so I didn't focus on the other.
Same paper.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look. I have it in my car, so thanks for that. Yeah, they have I don't know what their budget is. I should look at that. I don't know what their budget is, so
give them some suggestions to spend. Right?
Well, and their potential, that rec group are potential people for maybe this committee. You know,
Cool.
I was always
Okay.
thinking
Sure.
the rec committee in Huntington, maybe someone would be willing to come here. So,
Yeah.
all right. So any other public comments? Lisa, since you just got on board here, I just want to make sure, do you have a public comment?
No, not yet. I'm just digesting.
All right. Well, we just got started. Okay. So the snowshoe event. So one thing I just wanted to say is I'm going to circle back before we get into the promos after talking to Jack and rereading Duncan's email. I had asked Duncan about the insurance liability for hosting the snowshoe event in Richmond. And he had asked the insurance company and said that we, the town of Richmond, are covered under the insurance for hosting the event, but the senior center is not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo the event form because there's no problem with just saying that we're sponsoring the snowshoe, and we just got these great volunteers from the senior center helping us. And so we had researched waiver forms because I thought that's what we were doing, is having people sign a waiver for taking out the snowshoes. So we got a sample from the library. I think it's a good idea. So I'm just going to ask the group. We'll make the formal change on the event form to say that we're sponsoring it, not co-sponsoring it. And then I guess the question is, do we want to use a waiver that people sign about taking out the snowshoes, being responsible, you know, damaging, it's their liability, that kind of stuff? Because Duncan had kind of sent me down that road about having a waiver signed. So I guess I was confused. It's one more thing to do. And I'm kind of feeling if we don't have to do it,
Right.
then why bother?
Yeah.
Any suggestions or recommendations? I feel like just skipping the waiver and making sure the event form, we're the host. The town of Richmond's hosting it.
And you're assuming that umbrella extends to Bolton and Huntington?
No, I didn't even ask Huntington or Bolton because I'm not going to ask Huntington. They're fine. We're just going to do it. I'm not worried about Huntington. Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't. I mean, the school's the school. They said that we could have the event there. So,
I will beg that same question of Smarter School.
Okay.
So it's been asked.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like their insurance, I mean, we're the Richmond Rec Committee. So yeah, this is a little, I didn't realize that this was going to be
I know.
an issue, and,
Anything
you know,
to do, right?
so good point. I know, it just seems like it's highly unlikely, but I get it. We live in a world where we have to think about these things. Yeah, and if for some reason, I mean, again, maybe that's where if the school sponsors the event, we didn't fill out any kind of event form. You just asked them. So, yeah. So if they can
we could use the waivers for like some of the events if it makes sense to, and not use it for Richmond's event or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and I'm not worried about Huntington. We're going to just let that slide.
Yeah, I guess Richmond insurance probably would be covering, stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
But then the snowshoes are owned by Richmond, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So does anyone have any suggestions about this? We're in 3 different towns, and we certainly can do the waiver. Maybe the idea is the waiver is to protect and say you can't sue anyone. Whether or not it's valid, I don't know. I mean, you know, but we could at least, you know, have everyone sign that, and you know, I asked the Huntington Community Forest Commission if we could have the event and they said, sure. So I'm going with that. They didn't tell me anything about waivers. I said, do I have to do anything else? They said, no, you're good. So I'm not pushing the envelope. I didn't even ask about liability. So
I mean, I feel like it's a minor inconvenience and it gives us extra like reassurance that you know, things aren't going to come back and bite us out.
Yeah, so we should just have people sign the waiver. We'll just use the one from the library and we'll just say rec committee or something on the top and change the language a little bit. I think that's fine to have people sign that. Lisa, any ideas about this? As a select board person, any suggestions, or does that? She may have stepped away.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to find my buttons. I had to cover it up. I don't have enough knowledge to really give an opinion, but I think even just the effort to have people sign a release, essentially, is important to essentially, it notifies people that, look, this you might hurt yourself in this. It's not likely. It depends how good you are. But, you know, as much support and so forth as there is, fitting these things on people and helping people, showing them the trail and all that, people can still go and hurt themselves even if we don't want them to. So they need to admit that. And I guess that's what the waiver does.
Okay. All right. So that's easy enough. I'll make sure the waiver is revised, and Duncan said he can post it on the website too in advance. So
yeah, we might just need to like edit it slightly. To make sure that it makes sense because it's from the library.
Perfect. Okay, so I feel a little better about that. And Jack, that's great if you check with the school and just, you know,
yeah, we could use the waiver there. Like, let them know that we have a waiver. We can use for people.
So okay, all right. So the pickup of the snowshoes. All right. So so now we're going to the nitty gritty of what's happening when. So Jack offered to pick up the snowshoes because the senior center is sending their volunteers on the 23rd, on the 24th, which is the first day at Volunteers Green. And we have posters that are going to tell people to kind of go to the band shell because that's an easy spot to put on snowshoes, and there's tables to have refreshments and stuff like that. And so I was thinking, Jack, if you can just call Rebecca to say which day, since she'll have them, you know, I mean, it sounded like you wanted to pick them up maybe Thursday or Friday, but if she just has a sense of when you're coming, then she'll be ready. Yep. And then the event, I don't think it's going to take us a long time to set up. So I thought 9:30, if I was willing to go to Volunteers Green to help, just here's the, you know, just get things organized. Jack and his crew of volunteers were going to be there. And I guess, Kate, you weren't sure if you were available. So Mark, are you available from 9:30 to noon on the 24th, which is that Saturday? Because it would be good to have.
What I said is I'm happy to help. I'm just not going to do all 3 days because my family and I ski. So like, it doesn't really matter which days, but I'd prefer to just do one or 2, not all 3.
Yeah. What I really like is if Mark and Kate can help with the Richmond one, because I think that'll be the biggest one. I'm doing Huntington by myself. I'm fine doing that. And then I want to go help with Bolton's on Monday.
Okay.
So Mark, what's your availability? The 24th, 25th, and 26th. You're on mute. Mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
I do not have any plans that weekend that I'm aware of at this point. Certainly nothing in the morning that I can't work.
Okay. So if Kate and Mark can also arrive at 9:30, and what I'll probably do is it would help me out if I can get you the waiver. Yeah. And we can ask Duncan to make copies.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And I can make copies at my own printer for the other 2 days. So basically Jack would bring the snowshoes. Kate will have some of the waivers. And then The refreshments, you have a group of people that are bringing refreshments. Okay, so
That's awesome.
that sounds good.
Can I
Yep.
just ask in everyone's head, is the program on the 24th essentially a blueprint for the next 2 days? So everything that happens on the 24th also happens on the 25th and the 26th?
Well, as far as setup and 2 hours of snowshoeing, but there's different activities. I mean, so for instance, at Smiley, there's trails to walk on, and I can't remember, did we get a bird person? No, we didn't get a bird person.
Anything up is coming at 1.
Yeah, that's later in the day. Yeah.
And there may or may not be ice skating.
That was it. So the idea was in the article, it talked about, there might be ability to ice skate. So I'm going to do something totally different in Huntington. Where I'm doing, checking tree bark and identifying trees, so we're trying to leave it a little bit flexible. But certainly if you're at the Richmond one and you like some of the stuff, you could repeat it in Bolton.
You have someone to do like a walk or something, right, in Huntington?
I'm doing it.
Oh, you're doing it.
I'm
Cool.
doing it.
I
Yeah.
didn't know you were
I
tree
tried to
identifier.
get several people. They all said no, so I'm doing it. I'm
Nice.
leading. So, yeah. It'll be a small group in Huntington.
Yeah.
Watch, I'll get like 50 people. No, I won't get that many.
You'll be calling us.
I'll be like, oh boy. Yeah.
Would you like me to bring you refreshments to Huntington?
Well, so this is what I was thinking.
Covered that.
What I was wondering is if there's any leftover ones in Richmond, I'm going to come at noon to get the snowshoes and any leftover refreshments. Is that possible?
Good idea. And then you could just use them for Huntington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So perfect. So if you guys are there at 9:30, help with setup, help with the events, and you have a person that can lead the games or whatever we're calling them, I'll be swinging in at noon. I'll take whatever refreshments you have left over. And the snowshoes.
You're going to swing in at noon.
Yep.
On the 24th.
You got it. Yeah. That's my plan. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. So that's great. We'll go back to promos. I just want to go through the event stuff. Okay. And then I'll set up at 9:30 at Huntington. And I got friends that can help me with that.
I was gonna say you have other people.
Yeah. And then what I was going to do is at the end, and, again, we'll make sure everyone signs the waiver, help them get their snowshoes on if they need help. Let them, try them out and then, do your activities.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the snowshoes and meet you at 9:30 at Bolton on Monday. So I figured that's the easy way to kind of keep the snowshoes moving to the right location. And if there's any refreshments left, I'll bring them. I just don't know. We might, so
at that point, there might have
I
to
think we might need to pick up something for Bolton, though. I don't know that we'll have 3 days worth of refreshment.
What are you guys thinking of for refreshments?
Yeah, what are you guys making?
Coffee, cocoa, and cookies.
Perfect.
That's
Coffee,
perfect.
cocoa, and
You have like big carafes or something? Keep it hot.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
oh, and so I can take I'll make coffee and hot cocoa if you give me the crafts too. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Buy some cookies if you need to.
So
You borrow the carafes too.
yeah, I'll borrow the crafts.
well. Carafes is a great kickoff point for. I have 2 major angstas, concerns.
Okay.
One is, how many are going to show, and my question is to your registration sticker on the poster.
Yeah. So
what's your experience with those? I mean,
they use them. Oh yeah, they use them.
Yeah, people do use them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of old school and I don't use them, but
the last time we did it, it was pretty good. And I have my cell phone that they text me. So it worked pretty well when we did the green up. People generally texted me and used the barcode and the numbers were right on.
Good to have multiple options.
Yeah. So,
you will know.
I'll know.
2 days before.
Oh yeah. I can give you an update regularly. Yeah.
That will help me a lot.
Yeah.
The second thing is the conditions.
Yeah, we're just gonna walk even if there's no
See what you
snow,
can.
we're just gonna be walking and playing activities.
I don't know if you've been in Volunteer Green.
Is it icy?
Everything's a sheet
It's-
ice.
I wouldn't put a senior citizen in
Okay.
that field right now.
Okay.
You need micro
It's
spikes.
ice and it's not flat ice, it's
Wow.
effort from footsteps and stuff. If
Mhm.
we got a good week of thawing,
Mhm.
it could be mud.
Mud,
And that would be
yeah.
fine for a scavenger hunt. If
Mhm.
we get a fresh snow, the snowshoes will be out there. But if nothing happens between now and then, it could be real problematic.
So what I would just
Yeah.
do is I ask,
You'll have a list.
I'll have a
of everybody
list
who's coming.
and I'm just gonna I'll just text them or whatever and
We have to
say,
We have
cancel.
to message it, say it's canceled. because
Yeah.
of Bad
yeah.
condition.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
ice might.
Ice
yeah.
is the bad, yeah. Okay, isn't that terrible? You have to worry about.
Unless
ice?
everybody has like
Yeah.
traction for their
Is
shoes.
there enough room on the plateau and just the playground to be able to do the scavenger hunt?
If there's snow.
Because that would be,
And I mean, like,
But
right
that could
now,
be icy
if-
too.
If we were gonna enter at the bandstand.
Yeah. Is
Getting
it
up
hard to
the
get up there?
bandstand Or down to
Oh.
the bandstand at
Jeez.
the moment. is a
Yeah.
lethal
Wow.
activity.
Yeah.
It's all ice.
It might not last.
Yeah, I just walked a Cat Bay earlier today with a friend and I wore micro spikes. It was fine with that, but it's like everything's
Well,
ice.
maybe I should say something then in the
go
poster.
up the sidewalk
Yeah.
and then go through the
Mhm.
crabapple trees.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
if
But
you could
it's-
guide people that
It's a
way.
nice flat ice ring.
Yeah, on the
What-
sidewalk
Does
too.
anybody know what's happening with the ice ring in Volunteer Green?
Did
Well,
it happen this year?
I don't
haven't
think
been
it
down there.
happened.
It's framed out, but it's not, it hasn't got the weather to really
Yeah.
support it, but it is framed out and it's kind of flattened around that area and it lasted for a little bit. But, when I was out there last weekend, wasn't pretty and not,
Huh.
Yeah.
You know, what's so weird is Huntington, I walked the trails and it was fine. There was plenty of snow. So it's so weird that I forget. I forget that there is, it's weird. You come down and it's like, oh my God, I'm in the banana belt. It's like, 15 minutes.
They're
It can be that much of a difference.
Well, the
Yeah.
woods too, not as much
Yeah.
snow.
There was plenty of snow at the Huntington Forest. So good
Interesting.
point. Yep. And so we'll just rely on, having the phone numbers that I can reach them at.
Are the people, I couldn't get into that site, so I don't know what you're asking for of them. Are you?
Email,
asking
phone
for
number,
3 dates they're
Yep.
registering? for?
and they can
Yeah.
do all three if they want.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like you click which
Yeah.
ones you want to do.
Smiley update about, skating or not skating.
Yep. I can add
I
it.
could find that out.
Yeah, I can add it. Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. So these are all good proposals. We just didn't want to reschedule. This is it. You got the 3 days to do something.
Yeah.
And I would,
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
if it
but
doesn't
we'll
happen,
try
it doesn't happen. And I guess I would just ask, Kate and Mark, if we
Yeah.
do cancel it, I would ask if, you could be at, Volunteers Green to just
Yeah,
as a
sure.
backup to say we had to cancel it
Case
because
people show up.
it's too
Oh, yeah.
icy. Just
I
as-
can also like check the conditions
Yeah.
beforehand too, if you want.
Pass
Since
out
it's so close. to me.
coffee and cocoa
Yeah.
in the parking. lot.
Right.
There's a cookie.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that ice, like too much ice would prevent it. It's like, I guess that happens,
Yeah.
you know?
Hopefully these days with all the thawing
Yeah.
and refreezing.
Okay, anything else, Jack, as far as those are great questions.
One question, are we assuming that every child that comes is coming with a parent or? with a
Yeah.
Parent?
Yeah,
Does
we,
the copy say that?
no, but I mean, I just can't imagine.
But
Well,
it says it's a family event though.
Yeah.
It's a
Do they really
it's a
do that?
non-school week,
Okay.
and it's not uncommon for parents to
Mm.
swing through at 5 miles an hour and push the
Okay.
kid out the door and
Mm.
keep going.
Maybe if
And-
you just add some wording about it being a family event or something. I don't know.
Children must come accompanied by an adult. I'm gonna
Yeah.
write it. I don't care.
Yeah, just say
I'm just
like
gonna
children
write
after
it.
the age of 14 must be
Yeah,
accompanied
you
by
want to say
adult.
14?
I don't know.
I'm
What do
gonna
you
say
think?
children must be accompanied.
That
by
works.
an
You don't have to put an age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
Like
messing.
we're not babysitters.
Yeah, okay.
Good
so let-
suggestion, Jack.
So let's actually, so again, the activities break down at noon, and it seems like, don't leave any trash behind. We're doing the swaps with the snowshoes, but let's talk about the promotion then. So far, we've had a Times Inc. article. I don't know if the Bolton Gazette posted it, but I sent it to them. And so that was a generic, we're having these events. They're on the 24th, 25th, these are and 26th in these locations. And we're going to have little activities. So we said kind of the same things that are in the poster. But now is the time to start going to Front Porch Forum, Facebook, and putting up posters for this kind of level of detail so that, and maybe again, even on the survey, I'm going to write, children must be accompanied by an adult.
Yeah. It seems straightforward.
And I might say, we
it
will be
seems-
checking ice conditions at Volunteers Green. Because I mean, I just,
Sure.
I was like, okay. So
What
my
about the Bolton site? Does that
What
have
was
the potential for icing up too? Down in
Yeah,
the
like
valleys?
at the
Yeah.
school, does that get icy?
Well, it's unclear at this point what the activities are gonna be at Bolton. They're planning to make an ice rink, but that's clearly gonna be weather driven. And your experience here in Richmond may affect their hopes and dreams about getting a rink up. Snowshoeing in the afternoon with Ethan Tupper, he's planning on going into the woods with his group and Ethan Trapper, sorry.
Yeah.
I keep saying Tupper. But in the morning, I think at that site, the most we would do is snowshoe work within the playground.
Yep.
And it's well trod. As far as.
And I'm happy to show them my bark skills of identifying trees.
There you go.
I'll do that too. So if they want to do it, I got an app, I got photos. Yeah. Okay.
The one issue at Smiley, and it's well to mention it is that we've got a river right close by, even closer than Richmond, and so cloud control is important. I mean, we don't want to create a situation where a 4-year-old could be wandering off on the thin ice.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be a contained environment and plenty of adults. The kid ratio.
Yeah. Mark, I'm just wondering, or Kate, Monday, I'm taking Monday off. I've decided it will be just a fun day to hang out.
Nice. Yeah.
So I do wonder,
Uh-huh.
do you have any of the senior center people coming on to Bolton, to Smiley's? Okay. All right. How many do you think?
Well, right now, it's a matter of how many people we think are coming.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Okay.
And I'll just keep pushing the list depending on how.
Okay.
I mean, at one point, I think our expectations were we wouldn't get any more than the
20.
number of the.
Yeah.
The
10 to 20.
10 snowshoe.
Right.
That we had.
Yeah.
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 If 200 show up, with
Yeah.
different organizing.
I think people,
Right.
have a lot of things going
I
on
think it
that
won't be
week.
more than 20 at the
So
most
20 is what
at
I'm
any
thinking. If we
place.
get 20
Yeah.
at every location, I'd be happy. I'd be
Yeah.
happy. But Mark and Kate, if you are available,
Uh-huh.
maybe at Bolton, I'm not as familiar with that
Yeah.
location. So
Not as either. I mean, I've driven by the school plenty of
yeah.
times.
So
but yeah.
if you
I
think
could probably help with it.
if you can come, even if you just come, for part of it,
Okay.
I'll see you there.
You're talking on Sunday morning?
That is actually Monday.
Monday morning.
Sunday is Huntington. I got
That
it
one Mark
covered.
probably
You don't
can't
have to
do.
worry about Huntington.
I probably could though.
I won't be able to take the time off, I'm afraid.
Okay, but you might be able to.
I
Okay.
should be able to, yeah.
Could help
Okay.
you on Sunday if you need it, Sherry. I can,
Okay, yeah, I'm
contribute
afraid.
there.
Huntington.
While I have you, are we gonna do like some sort of registration or sign in?
Yes. Yeah, there's a registration survey. It was already in the article, and we have posters that have that. And so
Okay.
the next thing is I need people to send out notices in Front Porch Forum. So like I need someone to send one, this week the next week and the next week. So there's one every week.
I
And-
think Bolton.
Okay, you do
I can
Bolton,
do Richmond.
Richmond, and I'll do Huntington. There you
Oh.
go. And so we can use similar copy. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd probably easiest if we would like all do the same.
just same
write-up,
type of
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So like, Bolton, just push the Bolton date. You can talk about the other dates, but I'll send you the web link because there's a web link. So that way people can, or they can, again, just text me. I'm willing to take text. So yes, we'll have pre-registration.
And you guys will be like asking people to bring their own shoes, but we have rentals if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That text or language I haven't seen. I know you guys are rocking it, and I'm sort of sitting in the back seat again, which is okay, very okay.
Did he get
I haven't
the?
seen any of the language or anything yet for the posters or anything.
yeah,
Sorry, he didn't get the flyer to look.
well,
at,
I'm
'cause
still,
we had
I'm
just,
still
like,
editing.
Yeah.
I'm still editing. So I was asking for input, and so you'll get the final copy of the poster, and I'll send you the final copy from the article. So just, we'll just, yeah, I guess the question is, does anyone feel, well, I mean, I'm just gonna steal what I have here.
For what? Oh,
The
for the
front
front
porch
porch farm?
farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Okay, so I'm gonna revise the
Well, if
poster.
there's anything you change, like let
I'll have
Jack
to-
and I know
yeah.
so we know what to
I'll
put
change,
for front porch farm.
change the poster. That's the copy you can use for Front Porch Forum 3 weeks in a row. And then I'll make sure everyone has the poster. And I already put posters up in Huntington. So those are up. And so we're gonna ask Duncan to do Richmond. And then we're gonna get Jack some posters for Bolton.
Okay.
And then we got things up in visible places, website or a QR code. They scan to register. Is there anything besides Front Porch Forum that works for media? I guess we'll have the website, the Richmond website.
right.
We'll have the link to the registration. I think it already does, but yeah. And then I'm gonna ask the school to post it. So the question would be whether or not anyone can ask Smiley and Richmond Elementary to post this or send it out.
Yeah.
email.
I mean, at the very least, they do have like a cork board at the entrance. I don't know if they'd agree to sending stuff out to families just because they have a lot of communication already that goes
Okay.
out, but I can ask.
You can ask. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Bolton? Does anyone have?
Give them a week ahead of time, school will.
Yeah.
At least they used to.
Yeah.
That's
They would
good.
send out stuff from Little League, but they
Oh,
just
that's
needed,
true. Yeah.
they just need advance notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Sounds good. I can check with them.
yeah. So this, by next week would be good because that's like 2 weeks
Yeah.
out or whatever. Does
Okay.
anyone have a connection? You have the principal, so you could ask the principal if he could post it or, okay, perfect. Okay, good. All right. Well, I think we got everything covered. And then I'll return the snowshoes on Monday after the Bolton event.
Just
So,
quickly, it sounds like Kate and I will be spearheading the Volunteers Green.
The senior
Well,
center
Jack
and
in the senior
Jack
center.
is so Jack and the senior center, they have a person that's going to run the activities. You are the two leads from the Richmond Rec Committee. So yes, you have to,
I'd be there and take registration and all that. It's just, I mean, I don't snowshoe. I don't have a pair. Probably wasn't gonna do it this weekend, but it just, I'm always more comfortable with a game plan.
Well, if you could do registration and lead people, to signing up for snowshoes but be a point for instance, somebody's gonna have to direct parents to where the bathrooms are when Johnny needs to take a pee. And if there's an obvious point place, a table where they already registered.
Are there even, I don't think
there's no bath.
I don't think the
bathrooms
bathrooms are
open.
Volunteers.
I don't think there's anything in Volunteer Screen or restrooms.
Right, the library and City Hall.
Oh, good thinking.
Well, what time is it?
Yeah, go to the library. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess the Richmond one is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So the library would
be open.
They're closed on Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we gonna do name tags? That's
No.
unnecessary.
No. Oh, I'm not doing name tags. I'm running a much looser thing. Yeah, no, I don't think, I mean, you can if you want to, but I think it's one extra thing, and I don't think they'll stick if it's cold out. So, Mark, you don't have to snowshoe. If you can get people to sign the waiver and help them get their snowshoes on.
I have snowshoes.
Whatever Kate tells me to do. How's that?
Yeah. 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 So yeah, and just be there to be the answer person. Yeah. But collecting the waivers is that's a good job for you, Mark.
Yeah. That's right in my skill set right there.
Do we need a table for that? I do have a folding table. I know probably you've got some stuff too with the senior center. Yeah.
Bring some clipboards and stuff. I've got a bunch of spare clipboards, things like that people can write stuff on.
Clipboard
together.
Yep, that'd be great.
I'll park right near the side so that, you know, at least the back of I'll borrow my son's truck or something so we can open up the back and have that. If people don't want to like climb up to the band shell.
Okay. I do have to
all sort of come together, but we'll have options.
Okay.
So I really feel like we got to move this along. So, because we got to get to this other topic. So everyone comfortable? You can always email and we'll make a decision. But
coordinate before.
Yeah, I think let's just have fun. Yeah, and we'll
keep it simple, right?
Keep it simple. All right. So Mark, you're up next. One of the and then we're going to dive into all the questions about the 3 parks and the, you know, managing, organizing, if new things are happening at Brownsport. I love the idea of the playground going up on the high ground. But Mark, you wanted to talk about volunteer screen zoning and the flood hazard overlay. So I'm going to just turn it over to you as far as what you wanted to let us know regarding that subject. You emailed me this topic.
I did. Back in the beginning of January, attending a 3 parks committee meeting, there was discussion about the zoning.
Yeah.
What's allowed, the interpretation of the regs and where they're at. And so I offered to reach out to the zoning administrator to see what their interpretation of the different regs, because there's a lot of I've attended all the meetings that I think Tyler has been at and what he's tried to explain. And he's kind of on the fence about a lot of stuff and wondering if maybe we could do this and maybe we could do that. And Jeannie, please correct me if I'm off base, because that's sort of where I'm at. And he's like, you know, really hesitant about stuff and things. And so I suggested, you know, I asked, actually, trying to pawn off responsibility, of course. I asked if anybody had tried to talk to Tyler about what it was that had him stumped and what could be done. And with my position on the planning commission, it came back and said, well, the 3 parks committee basically said, well, couldn't you do that? Which is a very reasonable request. Planning commission, all the familiarity with the zoning and everything. I said yes. So I tried to reach out to Tyler about his interpretations of the zoning and what it was that was preventing different things from his hesitancy about different uses and structures in the park, and what the language is, what the stumbling blocks are, you know, because we, unfortunately, as a planning commission, we write these regs from one perspective, and we're not writing it always from the interpretation perspective. So, and everything counts. Every word counts when you're doing zoning. It's sort of the law, you know? So you've got to be very precise. And the precision of the law isn't always as what we think we're saying, isn't always interpreted the way we think we're saying it. And it's certainly, you know, interpreted differently among different individuals. 10 people would read it and you get 10 different opinions of some of the stuff, certain definitions, etc. So my hope was to talk to him about that and see if he was game, to sit down with me and sort of see where he was coming from and the reasons behind what he felt his interpretations were based on. And then maybe we could, as basically both park commissions, and possibly come to the planning commission and say, hey, so these are the stumbling blocks that are preventing what we're doing, and what we want to do, and what some of the things we envision from getting accomplished. And so I was reaching out to Tyler, and I copied Keith Boborn, the the town planner, and Virginia, just because she's head of the PC, and those guys speak regularly, often outside of the formal PC meetings, and have a good handle on what's going on, and where the planning commission is going, and those kinds of things. And basically what I got back was a strong resistance to let me speak with Tyler about those interpretations and where he was coming from, because it's been interpreted by Keith that we've basically, I think, come at the zoning administrator from a lot of different directions without any cohesive, unified voice for what we're looking for, and apparently wasted this time, done things that aren't productive for him. They've got a lot of work to do, and they're on a schedule, and they only got 40 hours. It's a day job for them. It's not volunteer work. And I'm sure the zoning has a lot going on anyways. There's always something going on. So I guess that our committees have reached out to him repeatedly with different topics and different angles, trying to get a handle on the different thoughts that come up as we're stumbling through this floodplain zoning and all the things that have gone on. And I was basically said, listen, I think I can quote this one line, because I think this is basically what it boils down to, is the committees need to get their message straight, be in unison, and approach us with some clarity. So that's basically what it boils down to. And unfortunately, I don't have that clarity, because I'm not sure what's gone on behind the scenes amongst the different committees and members about the different things we've talked about. I know that our committee, the rec committee itself, has done had some conversations with Tyler. I've attended at least one of them, trying to figure out what we can do about the playground.
Yeah,
and,
I was there. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, right. So we've come to him asking about that and his interpretation of that. And I know that Three Parks folks have had conversations with him. I know he's zoomed into several of the meetings. I don't know if he was even, whether it was his time or town time or whatever, and certainly appreciate the efforts that he did to sort of answer questions for the three parks as things have come up. But basically what it boils down to is they don't want to hear from us. Certainly don't want to hear from me until there's something more defined, like specific about, okay, what are we asking? I kind of thought what I was asking was different from what had gone on before, because we were always trying to figure out, okay, what are you going to allow versus why would you not allow? So I'm approaching it from why would you not allow it and what would need to change? But then, there's also very valid points that, what do we want there? What do we want in Volunteers Green ultimately? What is our goal there? You could argue that many people want nothing more than a lawn. Oh, it's floodway, it's floodplain. Don't build anything, don't do anything. where there's other folks who were like, hey, this is the only public space we really have in the center of town, other than Brown's Court, which is taking a beating on its own rights. Jeannie can attest to that. But this Volunteers Green, it is our one public open space. Yes, it is mostly floodway with floodplain, and whether we need to get the raised hill, a Loma letter of map amendment, which would claim it out of the flood zone, possibly certainly out of the floodway, I would think. Is it out of the flood zone? Do we have to pay for that? What engineering? And Jeannie can speak to that, I think, better than I can. So we've got that, and we're hassling Tyler about those things, but we're also hassling him about what it is we can do. So I'm sort of putting it to our committee, and I want to put it to the Three Parks Committee is, okay, so if we have to get our act together and come to them with one unified voice of what it is we want to know, then we need to know what we want to know. I don't know what we want to know. I think I want to know, the interpretation of the zoning regs and how they apply to the structures within and the definitions of terms. But do these two committees want stuff in Volunteers Green? Do we want structures? Do we want to have a basketball court? Do we want to have a playground? Do we want to have tennis courts or swings or anything to do? I think we kind of need to, I think the town employees are saying, what is it you want? And then we'll work with you. But until you tell us exactly what you want, we don't want to work with you because we can't waste any more time working with you. We got more important things to do. So I guess I'll
So that's update. Yeah.
So Tyler has met with Fran Thomas a couple times, and he gave us he outlined very clearly kind of a 3-part memo of how we could look at different structures. And but right now I would say we're just waiting for this survey, surveyor survey, to find out where the plateau is, we have to find the elevations of the plateau before we know what we can suggest. So I think that was supposed to be done last week. I just got back yesterday. I don't see any email that I got about it, so I'm not sure that is finished. So that's one thing. Talking just about the playground there, I think most of us feel that it shouldn't even be replaced there, because I have the prices. I can't tell you what it is right now, but it was, just it took, 3 people on the crew an entire week, 40-hour week, to repair the playground the last time. And that's the second time this year and the third time in recent years. So I just personally can't justify putting in a $200,000 playground that may get ruined again. So if that plateau isn't going to work, we just have to find out, whether that's, like you said, in a flood zone. And then we have a list from Tyler of what we can, look at. So,
I think, can I just interject?
Yeah.
I feel after going to the 2 meetings, you guys were on the right path to try to relocate the playground to that, whatever we're talking about, that little knoll.
Yes.
And that's the win. So we have been focused on the playground, and I'm going to remind my committee members, we've been focused on the playground. And I do agree that the floods are just too much to deal with. And I love the idea of moving it to the plateau.
So that being said, this is what I wanted to ask you guys about tonight. Like Mark just said, he really we have to show him something, we have to have something
Yeah.
for him to be able to say yay or nay.
Yeah.
And he actually did give me some outlines of what we can use. I think we should, I'm ready to just recommend one of the playground reps. And look at, have him work with us.
Yeah.
Get a design. So I don't know if you want me to, talk about that right this minute. Because, well, let me just tell you that the one playground rep has worked a lot with Pete Goslin.
Yeah.
He's been there. He walked through the whole playground. He has been helping the last couple of years. Maintain the playground. He donated their company donated the orange slide.
Yeah.
He is the one person who proposal came in with exactly
what you're looking
what we're
for.
looking
Yeah.
for. Some of them, the other two, one didn't include
removal.
removal.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
The other
okay,
one didn't want to work with volunteers.
Right.
right.
Didn't think.
Yeah.
So to me,
It's a no-brainer.
Exactly. If we could go with him and if we can go to the plateau, then
Yeah.
he can do this. He's walked it with Pete Goslin. He'll know exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he's worked with the town enough, and that's what I'm feeling like our meeting next week, I would recommend.
And I think it came quite clear to me that, we wanted the band shell to be redone. And so the question is, because that was on one of our grants too.
Yeah.
So we're very in line with what Three Parks is looking at. It's just a matter of figuring out, can you actually move the existing, like where the existing space was, to another location on the park? That's really the question.
Yeah.
And will it be saved because it won't get flooded? And so I think the band shell, the idea was maybe that isn't worth saving and you'd come up with a new structure. We're all for that. Because the band shell is a great thing. We wanted that to get fixed. So I feel like the two committees are right on par with those two items. Now, I know there's some more stuff that you guys are looking into. But I feel confident that we have, for the last 3 years, been trying to get grant funds to deal with the band shell and the playground. And it's a matter of asking Tyler, can we put it up on the knoll? Because that's not going to flood.
So it's not asking Tyler right now, it's getting the survey done to find out what is the zone, and then depending on whether it's
what's the space,
floodway, the floodplain, the flood, whatever, then
and what the space
is. A proposal, and then what is the actual space? So the discussion has been to remove the band shell altogether. It's the price that we're finding to repair it is
too much.
Absolutely amazing. It's in bad shape. It's not historical.
Good. Right. I was hoping.
It's not even, I think it's just 40 years old.
Yeah.
And the roof only covers, even half of the structure.
Right.
So if that were removed and the playground would go where the band shell is, then there's a park, there's 4 or 5 crabapple trees, a memorial park that's closer to the road, and then a new pavilion. Accessible bathroom. Go there.
Yeah.
That's the vision.
Great.
I love it.
But we can't, I think our committee is ready. We have some designs, we have some ideas. We can't propose those and get quotes for those until we know what. So we were a little bit stuck, and now that we know how Tyler really wants to see something, we're ready to just get some more quotes and some more bids.
That's good.
But
I got very excited about moving the playground because I remember hearing from all of you, oh my goodness, the playground's been destroyed again. And so it was like, oh my God, that's 2 times in a year.
Think of what a beautiful space that would be for the farmer's market where the playground is, and that
more
would be
accessible
place that won't have permanent structure.
No,
those things can all be
they throw their tents up and they move.
Nice flat area for them.
So what I'd like to recommend at the next Three Parks Committee is that Justin Mansfield he's with Pettinelli, who Jeff Forward recommended. He's also at Pettinelli Miracle. That we just choose him as our rep.
Yeah.
as our, playground rep, and then start working with him about when we find out what the guidelines, if it's a flood zone, a flood overlay, a flood, whatever it is, then we'll know what we can
Fit.
design, and then we take the
Yeah.
design to Tyler.
Yeah.
He wants to
Just a
see
quick
that.
definition.
So he wants to do the design before he can say yay or nay.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
floodway, which is where the river flows hard through it, and then there's floodplain where the water just sort of spreads out. And so floodway is certainly where most of the park is.
Yeah.
And then the knoll might be floodplain elevation wise consideration where it doesn't get as an intense flooding, or it may not be within the floodplain at all and therefore fully exempt. We don't even have to worry about any of the flood hazard overlay district regulations impacting anything we do on top of the knoll.
Well, that would be amazing, Mark.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that would be amazing.
Well, there's just a couple of thoughts I'd like to throw out. And
Yeah.
one is, if we remove the play structure
Yeah.
under current interpretations, then nothing goes back. If we remodel it as a part of a park structure, like put in a basketball court instead of a playground, that could theoretically fly. But if we take out the park altogether, the playground altogether, and don't put anything back, then it sort of becomes like open field. And the argument over whether we can put another structure in there becomes much more difficult based on who's interpreting our current zoning regulations.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the concerns I have about moving the park. And the other part was just I think I had heard some conversation about just swapping the positions of the what would be a pavilion in place of the band shell, and having that closer to the rest of the park with facilities in it. But then that would allow those trees along the side that Pete Goslin talked about being troublesome and overgrown and root bare,
Right.
removing those trees. But then for like the Richmond band concerts that they have during the summer and other public events like that, if the pavilion was on the field side rather than the road side of that, then there would be a play area that they could, perform on, that opened up to the field for people to receive. But that would also include the removal of, I think, 5 or 6 maple trees that are growing along the bank of the knoll right now.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people have suggested removing anyways, or some people have. I wouldn't say a lot on any case, because honestly, we don't have the hugest sampling set from the community yet. And I know Fran just published on Front Porch Forum some outreach. I haven't seen any feedback from that yet about what we're doing or what the Three Parks is hoping to do or suggest. So I think we're still really in the infancy stage of hearing back from the community on any of our ideas for changes. But I just wanted to throw that out there about the pre-existing structure versus no structure. That's all limited in the fact that we can still pretty much change zoning regulations long term to do anything that basically FEMA allows. I just don't know what FEMA allows specifically versus what our town zoning regs allow. And I want to take some time to try and track down some folks at the state and find out what they're thinking following. I want to brief you guys and I want to brief the three parks committee the next week with this information, and then okay, so then where? Because it could be, is I've been on the planning commission for a long time. I know things move very slowly. To get any kind of significant changes done in the flood hazard overlay district with everything else that's on our plate right now just wouldn't happen in time of the ARPA funding and financing. That doesn't mean that in 2 years we couldn't change some zoning regulations that allow for more flexibility and the placement of a basketball court in an open area that doesn't have a playground structure now. But just wanted to sort of help you guys understand that.
Yeah, so thank you for that update from both of you. And so just to summarize, it sounds like, again, we're dealing with timelines here. We have instructions from Tyler and his leadership that they want a defined request about what it is you want to put there. And it seems like the Three Parks Committee has moved along. They're just waiting for the survey to make a final decision about the pavilion versus the band shell versus the playground. And I think the only question, which we're not going to answer today, we got to move on to the other questions that came up from the Three Parks Committee, is that the one thing for us to all to consider is if you do make it an entire green space where the existing playground, is that something that is beneficial and what people of Richmond want to see? Or do we have to, I think you guys were looking at, is there something that gets placed in that green area? We've talked about it for the farmer's market. And I can't remember anything about the basketball court, but was that supposed to be put in there? Never talked about a basketball court.
So it was just
yeah. So I think that so I don't think that the Three Parks Committee, Mark, has any plans to put anything in the flood way.
Right.
And keep that all green space and soccer fields and baseball fields. Okay, so I think it's a good point. If you lose the structure of the playground, you can't necessarily put something back. But I just was so happy about, like, can you move it up in the higher ground? I was like, yes, that sounds like a good deal. So I think there's more to think about. We have more meetings, so let's put that on the table. But what I found fascinating at the Browns Court, when we were talking about Browns Court, another place where they've got some recommendations for a pickleball or a multi-course court thing. They want to look at the softball field and a shed to store stuff like for different things. And so the questions were, so let's move into that. Is what is the rec committee's role to help manage, organize access to a multi or single purpose court at Browns Court? So that's where, Mark, at Browns Court, they were talking about possibly having a multi-court would be tennis, pickleball, and maybe basketball. Maybe. I don't know if basketball was mentioned.
The multi-use courts, if we include all three of those, they're really expensive.
They're very expensive. Yeah.
Now right now the research is going on between one tennis court can hold 4 pickleball courts.
Okay.
They could be shared, but again, 4 pickleball courts can accommodate 16 people at a time. Where a tennis court can accommodate 2 or 4 people at a time. So I don't think there's been any decision.
No decision, right?
That when we figure it out, and that's where we want to, we're hoping to get some feedback.
Right. Yeah. So they want to know, like, what's our capacity to help organize, manage, who's using the courts when. So we don't have a lot of information, but it's not basketball, Mark. Okay, it's not a pickup game. It's pickleball, tennis courts, or both.
That's right.
Yeah. And so when I first heard the question, I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
my first thought was, so we have not had success with recruiting just volunteers to do stuff.
Right.
So I was thinking, all right, so can the rec committee help get a group of volunteers that can help oversee managing and organizing events around tennis and or pickleball? Then I said to myself, well, the senior center has an online app that does the pickleball stuff. So I kind of feel, well, maybe it's a partnership with, they can put the pickleball time certain days of the week on their app or whatever it is you use. And that would be an organization that has experience with the 3 towns setting up pickleball courts.
Yeah. So I would say, I don't think it was necessarily that you would be organizing that, but that you would be that the rec committee could be the touch point for a pickleball league or just, until like here, little leagues manage the fields at Town Green.
Yes.
But it took a while for those leagues to get developed and be ready to organize that. And yes, we know that there would be groups. We want to be very careful that we don't make this be the senior citizens park.
Okay.
Because this is, for everyone, but that's not to say that organization. Some people in the town were, not me. I'm an active member of that group. but that's just something that we want to be conscious about. So it's more like being calling those league people and saying, hey, you got it. It's
So
okay, go ahead.
Here's my thing is I just am thinking this is a public space, first come, first serve.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if we can actually.
It sounds like
we can, and I remember you guys said, well, they only have like 3 or 4 people on the committee. And I said, yes. I mean, for us to be contact people, I mean, we can certainly, I don't know. It was perplexing because what does managing and organizing mean?
Yes.
I mean, it was just like, at first the term was maintenance, and I go, wait a second, doesn't the town do maintenance? But
shouldn't this not town?
I think that part of it is, maybe this is where we have to check with Kirsten, is how does that work? Like, if you have courts and stuff, like what do they do in a department? And if you're a bunch of volunteers.
Well, normally it would be a paid rec person, but we don't have one.
Right.
That works for the town.
So we met with, like, for the bocce courts, for example.
Yeah.
The person came from Burlington Bocce. And their league, basically, once they have their league going, they collect $2 dues, and they've been maintaining the bocce court. So
but why? So that's the thing that's confusing. Maintaining the bocce courts. To me, that's maintenance. So I'm not following it, or is it scheduling when things happen?
It could be some of that as much, because like you folks, have been the ones to make sure that the playground gets inspected annually, right?
Well, not really. No, that was something we recently did.
It was just recent.
Yeah,
recently.
Those are sorts of things that I thought that.
No, prior to a couple years ago,
to check on
somebody
stuff.
needs to pay attention to this.
Yeah,
it's just like the trails committee when they say, "Oh wow, there are 3 trees down here. We better, get somebody together to take care of that."
Yeah,
not that you would be physically doing that.
Yeah, it's a big shift because we've been focused on fundraising, but I totally get it. It's like if new structures come into place, is that a role of the rec committee to help with facilitating whatever, kind of getting leagues in there to be organizing? But then I keep thinking, but isn't it a public space that we don't want the leagues to? I don't think we want to replicate what happened with soccer and baseball, do we? I mean, because those do take time and energy, and you have these outside entities that, thank goodness, they pulled together, but we ourselves were going to reach out to those groups and ask them, well, how are things going? So we did think that it would be important to find out, how is it going? Do you need any help with anything? But we weren't sure if we could offer
We
anything.
weren't sure what we could
We
really
just
offer,
wanted
yeah.
to know, like, is it hard? And Mark talked about his years of volunteering
Yeah,
for, was
yeah.
it baseball or soccer or both? And that it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and parents are volunteering time. And so, you know, I guess I was just thinking that I know the pickleball is very popular and that might need a little bit of control, but for tennis courts, you just walk in and you use the tennis courts to use the tennis courts. And yeah, there could be some kind of regular inspection of nets and stuff like that. But I thought the town would do that, you know, or there would be a
Right.
request
Yeah, I
to
guess
the
I
town.
think the
It's on
town
town
is-
property, yeah.
The
If it was
recreation-
one or the other, it would be a lot easier. You know, if we said, okay, these are all pickleball courts and they stay, we're identifying them as pickleball courts, then the nets get to stay up all summer, you know, access to a storage bin where there might be, I don't know, what would even other accessories to pickleball or tennis for that matter. Or if it was tennis, then okay, there's a net up, and that's where you go, and you know, first come, first serve. Kind of like the baseball fields, you know, somebody can do a pickup baseball game, but if the little league had scheduled a practice during that time, well, then you know they get dibs.
Use it,
Our
yeah.
problem is that there's discussions about a mixed court. That's where it gets sticky, because if you are taking down posts and rolling up nets and switching it over because some you know, the pickleball wants to play at 5 and then tennis at 8, you know, that's
That's
where the logistics become really onerous. If it's just pickleball or just tennis, management is infinitely simplified. So that's part of what the three parks is wrestling with is, okay, where do we go with this? There is a voice for tennis. I think there's frankly a stronger voice for pickleball. Um, but if we're, you know, they have to make a decision about, and maybe with our input, um, which one or both do we want, would we support there, in what way? Because you know, if it's a matter of showing up a couple times a week and checking on things, or you know, helping take down the nets in the fall, you know, yeah, it's easy enough to find volunteers to get that done. But on a day-to-day basis, hour-to-hour basis of deciding what's going where, that gets a lot tougher. And the same thing with bocce, which you know, I'm a personal fan of myself. You know, we put in those courts, but it's going to take maintenance. Those things have to be raked out. Arguably, they may need heavy duty replacement every couple of years, depending on the wear and tear, how well the courts are built, and how they hold up, which you know is a lot less hourly maintenance, day-to-day maintenance, but will definitely require some sort of level of oversight. To Jeannie's point that, you know, clubs sort of take over so much of that. I don't know if I'm opposed to that, in the same way that Little League does a really good job taking care
Yeah,
Right.
taking care of the
Little League.
field.
I you know, maybe the rec committee could offer an opinion on what they think the most practical use of established courts are. You know, if we're not willing to take on that responsibility of hour to hour maintenance and switching over and making sure everything's shut down at the end of the night, and you know, ready for the next morning, I think that's beyond our scope.
Absolutely.
Closing it
Mhm.
up at the end of the year, opening it up in the spring, doing those things, supporting the town so that the town doesn't have to send the road crew up there to do it and spend, you know, 2 days, 4 people doing whatever it is they do. You know, I mean, volunteers. I think
So can I just interject, Mark? One thing that I would like to see is we train when we go hiking, you pack in and you pack out, and you're responsible for it. I think signage that says, please rake the bocce ball when you're done, okay? Or signs that say, please share after 1 hour, and if there's someone waiting, you let them in. I would like to see some self-regulation. I don't know what the term is. Because I'm sorry, we need to, grow citizenship and public, engagement and civic duty. And I would much rather make sure there's signage, be, whatever the signage says. But I agree, Mark, a very simple, if we had to check something in the spring and check something at the end would be fine. I'd much rather work with organizations like the senior center to say, okay, put this on the app, but guess what? You need to keep from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those are open to the public. Or something like that, you can do it during the day, senior center or something like that. I don't know. I'm just giving an example, if you work with an organization, then you got to make sure there's still public time. Absolutely. So I think working with organizations, keeping it simple and teaching people to take care of the park. Yes. I think that combination, that's everyone. Organizations, a little bit of rec, and the people helping. But it can't be time intensive because this is a small group and we haven't had any luck getting volunteers. So, right. Yeah. So, Kate, I don't know if you want to add to that. I mean, what were your thoughts when you heard the question?
I mean, that makes sense to me. Yeah. I feel like if it's something like you said, like spring or fall, doing some minor stuff is great, but yeah, we can't handle like day to day or even like weekly stuff that's needed at the park. I mean, and we all have busy lives,
right? And it's so again, the other thing that's hard about this, even thinking about the organization or managing, is this is a committee that was revitalized in 2021, right during COVID. Okay. Right. So and Volunteers Green was Volunteers Green. It was a bunch of volunteers that did everything. But I don't think the town had a committee for 10 years, I think, since the last one. So we were still trying to find our feet, and their 2-year committee links for myself, and 3-year for Richmond, and 2-year for Bolton. And so again, there's always going to be movement there, so, and there's always it's like retention of employees. There's always a learning curve and stuff like that. So if you can get the word out and people's behavior is such that are taking pride and they're sharing, just like we talked to the kids about, I just think that would be a great way to go. But definitely, we can help, get things moving, find organizations. I feel like we could do that. I love what you just said, Mark. Like, if it's just one type of court, I think that simplifies things a lot. And then, checking with Pete and say, hey, Pete, we got a problem down there in Brown's Court, with XYZ, or, people know who to call. Yes. And again, that's a signage thing, let the rec committee know in the comments about XYZ. We do have a comment section on our community site. So that's an easy way to get information to us. So I know I'm talking too much, but
that's perfect though. But see, because part of what we're tasked with is just, we also have to include a maintenance budget.
Yes.
And then suggestions for who's going to do what. And so I think that,
well, I'm glad you guys talked about it.
Recruiting for the rec committee too.
Thank you very much. At our snowshoe event, please recruit.
Yeah. Look, you get to do fun stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. Now about the shed. So what's the deal with the shed, Jeannie? Because you're gonna go. Okay, Jack, good to see you. We'll be in touch with emails, get the posters all fixed, the event forms. You'll be all set to go. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Jack.
Yeah,
Thanks for all the help, Nick.
yeah.
Thanks
yes,
for your help
pray
with
for
the
snow,
snowshoe
please.
stuff.
I want
And
snow.
that
God.
big snowstorm.
You got me all paranoid about the ice now. So what do you need? So with the
So
shed,
shed, I think we need a shed to store the brooms and the mops and whatever
the
squeegees.
squeegee for the
out
tennis or the
yeah,
pickleball.
some things like that,
Yeah.
and then possibly maybe there is some a public set or two of bocce balls.
Okay. But everyone brings their
But right,
tennis
your own, yes,
and their
yeah,
pickleball, so we don't have to worry about rackets.
correct,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
And-
maybe that's something that we will think about doing at the library at some point
Rent
too.
it out at the library.
But yeah,
Yeah, they're already doing it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But so it was more just a very small shed. There is a shed there.
Yeah.
But so Josh Arneson, the town
Yeah.
manager, is also the Little League head honcho.
Oh, he's
Has been for
the
a long time. So I
Right.
said,
okay.
put on both your hats.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so he was telling me, he told me what is stored in that shed, and it's actually pretty full with just the things that
Yeah.
softball needs for maintenance, and that it might be more complicated if we get three entities sharing one shed.
Oh,
then,
yeah.
you know, you have to worry a little bit more. And like Tess, who was talking about the bocce and those things, she said she would see just not even having a lock on it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps a padlock, you know, a code that you could, you know, give to any organizations that are in
Mhm.
using things
That are
regularly.
using,
Yeah.
They
yeah.
get in and access. I don't
Yeah.
know about, you know, if you try to leave it unlocked and just see what happens. But it would be more, again, just so you would be the group that would have the code and somebody calls, you say, here it is. Or
Yeah, I don't like that idea for some reason. That bothers me.
Yes,
Make it
Yeah.
calls at any time of the day.
you know, these are just.
Yeah.
brainstormed
What do you
ideas.
think, Mark? I mean, this is about the getting in the shed for the equipment. I just want to be open, but I know people steal things.
Yeah.
What's the idea?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're storing and when. I mean, if it's set up so that it doesn't require a lot of constant in and out, you know, if you're raking out um bocce courts or sweeping
Yeah.
pickleball courts, you know, there can be a few people involved in the league that could easily manage that. And yeah, sure, we know the codes too. Yeah, but ultimately it would be like baseball, you know, or maybe we could set up you know, different closets with different access for different clubs, you know. So I really don't see that as being a too big a stumbling block. I do worry about it being completely unlocked all the time just because that could be a concern. I don't know who would do that in the short, but long term, I think, you know, like Jeannie was saying, once these clubs get established, it's gonna take care of itself. In the short term, if it's something that you know, I'm not gonna go up there every day, but it'd be easy enough to swing by on the way home from work during the normal summer hours to close things up. I was one thing why I was wondering though, Jeannie, is I know you guys have talked about a watering station
Mhm.
in there, but is there any talk or financing for like a proper facility, a restroom and you know, kind of like the concession stand down by the ballpark where there's opportunity to put in, you know, one restrooms, which would be really nice, like a
Well,
fish
leave that for
and
your
then
committee
porta
for
potties.
5 years.
They only have so
I
much
feel like
money.
that for your committee to figure
Yeah,
out
no,
why-
I know, but you know,
No,
is it
yeah,
something
yeah,
that the town can? Maybe we can plan for
I, I
if
think
we
right
get the
now,
water system set up in a place and plumbing established in a location that is structure adjacent or feasible, then we could, you know, it doesn't have to all get done with this year's ARPA money. Maybe
Right.
long term we can look into fundraising for a true concrete facility for that.
yeah, no, that hasn't been in our radar at all, because we know that we are already, you know, gonna be cutting a lot of our dreams because the money is not gonna go that far.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah,
hoping that grant for the playground comes through.
yeah.
So are we.
Great thing. And then, so no, we were just a porta potty that's accessible for now. The water is just a water fountain so that water bottles can be refilled. And then the bocce court and the other court, we understand that a lot of times you hose those off when there's whatever. So there could be a hose. And we're also talking about the kind of water fountain that has a bowl at the bottom for dogs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I
that
think
that actually
Wilson Park has
people,
those.
yeah, people actually want.
Yeah.
They did talk about a place to walk
I
dogs. Yeah,
can't, I don't have the figures in
Yeah.
front of me, but just, one thing like that, it's just shocking how
Yeah.
much it is, and how much a
Yeah.
bench is. And
yeah.
Right.
so
It's so expensive.
so,
Yeah, so the one thing I think I heard though on the 30th, Jeannie, is there was something, maybe it was the 23rd meeting. I'm pretty sure I thought I heard that they would just make the code to the shed an accessible number for people to use.
yeah, that was just, again, just tossing ideas
Yeah.
out, but yeah.
I mean,
think
I guess that's you could always change the code too. I mean, so that's something that the town has the ability to do that. Whether or not that sits, I mean, that certainly that information could sit on the community webpage because we'd probably say, hey, Brown's Court's got the pickleballs, and we'd probably add that.
Yeah.
And if you need the code to the shed, here it is. And then maybe there could be an automation where it changes every, every week or something. They probably have an app that does that, So I think if it could be automated, and if they need a place to show where the code is and it just get changed on a regular basis, then you don't have a thief problem. And then you work towards getting an organization that deals with pickleball or deals with tennis or bocce. And they have, then we move towards they have access to it. So I think that's not going to be a huge lift, but I like the idea of it being automated somehow. And technology we must be able to do that.
Yeah. Someone's got that figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they should be able to even just like look up the web page and say, oh, the code is this on their phones, or something.
Yeah.
So maybe they get there and they say, oh, we got to get the bocce balls out. We forgot, and if you need the bocce balls, go to the website or here or something, or you put a little QR code up or something,
Yeah.
Geez, I wonder if we could automate that somehow. And it sends it, I don't know.
Wouldn't that pretty much be the same as leaving it
I think-
unlocked though? If there's a QR code that you can use to get the
that's basically what
Yeah.
they're saying is
Okay.
just make it a little bit more.
You could register a phone number. And you go in, you register a phone number.
That's a
And
good
then
point. Like
they
you
would
have to
send
give
the
them.
code to that phone number.
There you
That's a
go.
good idea.
That's a very good idea. Yeah. So there's an app for that.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there
See you,
I
Lisa.
guess that if we can, even if we just can include in the plans that, we've
It's a
been
good idea.
discussing, you've been discussing ways and you're, have.
See you, Lisa. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
Lisa.
think
you all.
that
you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Lisa. Good
Lisa.
night.
I think these were great questions, and of course it makes sense. I mean, we're going to average.
Actually, some of Lisa's questions.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to definitely promote any new structures, even though we've been focused on the playground. And I think it's a matter of, we can't offer a lot. It's got to be automation. It's got to be keep it
Yeah,
simple.
absolutely.
Because, and we would rely on organizations to
Mhm.
take it over,
Mhm.
to make it again, more, it just seems like a more practical approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not, so it's very interesting because committees, I always think, are kind of setting plans in place, and we just started doing activities like the snowshoe thing,
Right.
but again, we have to kind of keep it small. This 3-town snowshoe thing, as you can tell, it gets very complicated.
Right.
So when you're talking
Organizing a simple.
about
Yeah.
a public space, it's like, oh my goodness, Yeah, that's a lot, you know,
Yeah.
and, yeah, and again, the whole idea about the public taking responsibility.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
That is just to me so critical.
Mhm.
Sharing, you know, okay, you know, you can't have it for 2 hours, you got an hour, and then the next person comes in. If there's a line, you know,
Yeah.
or there could even be a sign, like there could be little
Well, we
sign.
even talked about if it was a shared thing, it's maybe
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday is tennis, Tuesday, Thursday's pickleball, following week it's different. Or
Yeah,
if there are leagues that know they're gonna play,
Mhm.
you know, something
Yeah.
like that could be worked out, but it is complicated if you have a
Yes.
shared
With
court.
the multi-court,
And
yeah.
You know, because it is, we don't have a rec department. you know.
I think, and the only last thing I would say is, I think that you also have to, remember that access for people of all economic, social status. And so, you know, again, and getting more people to access it, like the pickleball, you can get 16 people to play. You
Mhm.
know, I think that's why basketball is such a popular one, because you can get 10 people on the court,
Yeah,
you know, and play basketball.
and I'll tell you what.
You can even get 20 because you have 2 half courts, you know, so, and that's just a ball, that's cheap, and sneakers.
But we know that, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things that we discussed is that, you know, the elementary school and the middle school are town
Yeah.
facilities, and there
Right.
is a basketball court out there, and that's only a block from Brown's Court. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know,
True.
there are some things that, you know, that
Oh,
for the
okay.
future, but if somebody says, I want to play pick up basketball game, there's a court
Yeah.
behind the middle school. It's your court.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Anyhow, that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were thinking about what else is there, but yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No,
pickleball is
that's on the
hot these
list, and
days.
just-
so.
With pickleball,
Plus, you know, that the big discussion, I don't know if you know where we keep getting the stumbling block too, is that we come up with a plan, oh, but we're thinking of putting housing there.
oh,
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you should go
Yeah.
ahead with that plan.
Yeah.
No, but now we're gonna bring it up at town meeting.
Yeah, what's
Yes,
up
I
with
know,
that?
yeah.
I noticed that. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's
no,
like,
we're not putting housing there, but
No.
we're gonna keep talking about putting
Ahead,
housing
5
there.
steps backwards, it's just. like,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah. And you're gonna be presenting after town meeting day.
Yes, because
Yeah.
we've got to get firm plans to be
Yeah.
able to say, you know,
Well, I
and to get input on.
I just love what you're doing with the playground. I just love it.
I love the ideas for Brown's Court, yeah.
One gets all the
Yeah,
credit for that.
I just love that. Yeah. And it was interesting about the Browns court, you know, I mean, it was, but then we had always said, wow, what are we going to do at Browns court? And we kind of stayed away from it. And this is why.
Well, and I'm finding out that there'd never been a survey, they didn't even know where the property line.
I know that was
Kind of crazy, yeah.
yeah,
How much do we have? Someone says
Yeah.
4 acres, someone says
Yeah.
3 acres.
I know.
2.2.
All right.
That's a lot.
So Jeannie,
Yes.
I want to bring us to a conclusion. Are there any
Yes.
other questions that you needed us to answer?
No, I think just if you guys are in agreement to go ahead and, you know, I'll make a recommendation to
Mhm.
decide on the rep. And
Yeah.
so Justin Mann.
Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
good. Move
So-
forward,
So I
yeah.
think that community input
Yeah.
will be more, you know, here's a couple designs, what do you
Totally.
need to add to it? You know,
Yeah.
we could ask him to give us 2 sketches.
Yeah,
or-
2 or 3. He might
know,
give you
yeah,
3.
yeah.
He might give you 3. And then that really helps because we want people to weigh in.
Yeah.
And
I have to tell you something interesting that I've learned. You know,
Yeah.
I purposefully asked for ramps, you know.
Right.
Ramps, but
Right.
the one other playground that really didn't have many ramps probably had more accessible play area
Right.
all around it.
Mm.
And so the ramps, yes, we think those are accessible, but they're accessible for kids to run up and down.
Right.
Right.
Play value. So
right.
I want to
Yeah.
look a little bit more into
Love
that.
space.
And
Yeah.
that's where Kirsten had the, you know, playground knowledge, but I have her notes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
other notes. And so I think that community involvement I mean, it's going to be choosing the color scheme or, you know, some other, what are some of the smaller parts that we
Yeah.
want to see around it? Because I think we have to, we have to have a design to present
Yeah.
to zoning. So
Yeah. I mean, I think if
I'm
you,
learning so much.
if there can be, if the person can say to you, I can give you enough things for people to think about and choose,
Yes.
because the community has not as a whole
Yeah.
weighed in.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
it's gonna have to kind of be that whole way of like
Yeah.
looking at this, at even the change at Brown's Court.
right,
That's why we wanted to get something on Front Porch Forum now to say, here's what we're doing. You know,
Yes.
if anybody wanted.
yeah.
Right,
you know,
yeah, I
and
thought
I-
that was
message
good.
out now, but
Yeah.
we're not ready to make a presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
You should invite people to come to
I thought what
select
was written on
board.
Front Porch Forum was good though.
I mean, the select board meeting.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know. I just think,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
we're-
mean, it's unfortunate that they still require you to make the selection when I would just say, okay, you guys are gonna come in and give it,
Yeah.
and you can say the best price is this, and that comes within the budget of the 450,000 that we're doing. And this is,
Yeah.
but that's,
Our
we
best
have to have
option.
quote, I
Yeah.
mean, the work that, to just get the quotes, I mean, we've had to get three quotes.
I
for
tried to talk them out
the
of it.
tennis court, we had to get
Yeah,
three
work.
quotes for the bocce,
Right.
depending on what the price point is, then you have to have
Right.
quotes before you can make your recommendation.
Yeah.
I know.
It's tough work, but
Lot of
we
red tape.
appreciate it. All right.
You've got a lot of work.
So the last thing, I'm just gonna thank Kate for doing the Richmond Town report about what we're
Hey,
doing.
Kate.
Yeah, and we won't worry about the minutes because we can just do it on the next meeting. And do you have any agenda items you want for March 5th? We'll probably talk again about, what the three parks committee is doing.
Mhm.
But if there's anything else that we'll debrief about the snowshoe event, but if there's any other pressing, we had talked about collaborating with other committees, but I don't know if now's the time. I feel like we should focus with three parks.
Recruitment
And
ideas.
I
recruitment.
don't see any harm in, I mean, three parks isn't gonna take up our whole meeting in March. I
Well, you
wouldn't
never-
mind, spring's gonna come quick,
Yeah.
after next meeting, it's gonna be April and people will be
Right.
getting
Yeah.
out. I wouldn't mind, talking about collaborations or connections and making just talk about who, what, how, when, town committees, private.
Okay. So we'll add that. So we'll talk about recruitment because we still need recruitment. We'll talk about, okay, who do we want to collaborate, why, and what are we trying to get out of it, or they get out of it. And then we'll make sure to have, again, we'll talk about the three parks. So those are kind of the three topics. So that'll fill it.
Recruiting if there's time.
Yeah.
That's always on the agenda.
Okay.
So our next meeting is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just hoping that we have some more designs, and just as we're meeting, I see we've got, John Lynn has sent some more drawings of Brown's Court.